Whatever the Niners are doing, I don't like it. Just because you have a name on a sheet of paper does not mean you have an adequate replacement. You have lost the heartbeat of the defense, and you have lost the glue piece of the offense. I do not know what they're doing. John Lynch, he said he wants to get younger. He said he wants to get cheaper. But what I wanted to hear him say, which he never said, I want to get better. And as I look at it right now, Chase, the Niners have not gotten better.
We need to put reality back into this conversation. I see people all over the internet talking shit about the San Francisco 49ers and the moves they've been making, claiming it to be a rebuild. Well, that ain't happening on this side, and I'm here to tell you why the San Francisco 49ers, they ain't rebuilding. So, back at it, talking 49ers football. Let's get into it, y'all. Yo, what's up, everybody? It's your boy, Ryan Tigey, back in action. The San Francisco 49ers are not in a rebuild, and I'm here to tell you why. There's a couple key pieces of information that people seem to leave out the conversation, whether it's convenient or non-conveniently left out of the conversation, but the 49ers, it is clear they are not in a rebuild. When you think about the players that the 49ers have let go, who have they been? The overwhelming majority of the San Francisco 49er players that have exited the door, they have signed fat fucking contracts with players across the NFL. It's been on the defensive side of the ball. When you're a team that finishes 6-11 and the glaring issue is on the defensive side of the ball and special teams, what do you do to fix the problem? Well, you for sure as hell don't overpay for players when you believe they're at a certain value, but you clean shop. You figure out how to move forward, but readjust and retool, not rebuild. Another key factor that I do not see people talking about as it relates to a 49ers rebuild, who did the team just hire as their defensive coordinator? Robert Saleh. What did Robert Saleh get promised as a part of his pitch during his interviews with the 49ers about coming back? It was widely reported that the 49ers told Robert Saleh, we will make you the highest paid defensive coordinator if you come back. Now, would an owner who's clearly looking to save some cash, would he want to pay a defensive coordinator the very top of the market, $7, $8, $9 million, whatever it is? If you're in a rebuild, why would you go spend max dollars to get your defensive coordinator back? You wouldn't, thus proving the 49ers are not in a rebuild. The four defensive players that were starters that missed the most amount of time this past season was Charvarius Ward, Dre Greenlaw, Javon Hargrave, and Talanoa Hufanga. It is no surprise that those four are all now on other teams. All, without question, really good players. But it's not a coincidence that the players who battled the most injuries and were the most unavailable this past season on the defensive side of the ball, they're no longer on the team. The 49ers put a value on those players, and those teams, they paid a higher amount that the 49ers weren't comfortable with going to. So they left. What do teams look to do when they're in a rebuild? They look to accumulate draft capital. They trade away their most valuable assets to accumulate draft picks. The 49ers, what have they gotten back? Outside of Deebo Samuel, who got traded for a 5th-round draft pick, the 49ers, they haven't gotten draft picks. I see a lot of people talking about the 49ers, with all these moves, they're just accumulating compensatory picks. Well, that ain't accurate as well either. Yes, have the 49ers maximized and maneuvered to get compensatory picks? Sure. But in terms of that's their sole goal of accumulating draft picks versus trading valuable assets to other teams to actually get draft picks back, when you cut a player, you don't get compensatory picks. So by the 49ers letting go of Kyle Juszczyk, Javon Hargrave, Malik Collins, and Leonard Floyd, they released all four of those players, which meaning because it was a release, they don't get compensatory draft picks. It's not in the NFL formula when you cut or release a player that it gets calculated and you ultimately end up with compensatory picks. So again, the 49ers, if they really wanted to rebuild, they would trade away their most valuable assets to get real confirmed draft picks this upcoming NFL draft. And so what I am curious about, though, is the 49ers, it's clear as day, and they've talked about it, it's about saving cash.
I think since Kyle and I've been here, we've been, certainly a top 5, I believe, number 2 cash spending team. In the last 5 years, I think or 4 years, Going into the fourth year, I think we're the fourth highest cash spending team. So we're at some point you have to reset a little bit, or at least recalibrate. You can't just keep pressing the pedal.
I will give credit. Jed York has spent a shit ton of cash, giving a lot of signing bonuses and a lot of guaranteed dollars over the past couple seasons from players who all demanded it. And so what's really curious to me is I would believe that the 49ers, they didn't anticipate it being this dramatic. They obviously plan to lose specific players like a Mooney Ward, but I don't think their intentions was have it to be this aggressive, because it is overly aggressive with the way that they're looking to save cash. I see other people talking about, oh, do the York family, are they running out of money? There ain't no fucking way. The Yorks are loaded. You also hear rumors that they're potentially looking to acquire another soccer team overseas, so maybe that's the reason, because they need cash to do that deal. The 49ers just last year made $140 million in pure profit from one season. And clearly the Yorks are involved in other businesses. Cash is not the issue. So what I hoped that has to be answered from reporters, maybe at the owner meeting or some point soon leading up to the draft, is were they anticipating this many players leaving, or did it get a little carried away in some aspects? So what's the reason for it? Because it does seem a little wild in some aspects, just the pure amount of players that have walked out the door without the requisite acquisition of new players coming in. They've signed new players, but all those players are really not people anybody's ever heard of prior to them signing with the team. So I am curious, and I hope Jed York does have to answer for that question, because one of the clear examples of maybe it got a little carried away was the Joey Bosa. Joey Bosa recently signed with the Buffalo Bills. Everybody was anticipating, that he was going to sign with the San Francisco 49ers so you could team up with the Bosa bros, Nick Bosa and Joey Bosa's mom, Mama Bosa. She was trying to get it done on her Instagram, posting shit. She wants her sons to play together. But ultimately, he signed with the Buffalo Bills for $12 million. The 49ers obviously weren't comfortable going to that amount. So then the reason being to that is, why did they let go of Leonard Floyd prior to actually having Joey Bosa signed? I thought, and I think a lot of other people thought as well too, with the releasing of Leonard Floyd, Joey Bosa, it was a done deal. Now, obviously, it clearly wasn't a done deal, but I would really be curious to know if that was a move that wasn't anticipated, because this is what Joey Bosa had to say about why he signed with the Buffalo Bills.
I'm getting old and I'm ready to win, and I think this team is primed to do that, and I'm just excited to join a winning culture and, you know, a football culture in a football town.
So that's all fine and great. You want an opportunity to win a Super Bowl. You don't have many years left. I get all that, but let's be real. What was it about? It was about the money. It's always about the money, specifically with NFL players who don't have long careers. It's about the money. The 49ers, they weren't willing to go that high. And also, what is that implying? Is he implying that the 49ers don't have an opportunity to win a Super Bowl? Because they do. But with him saying that, makes you kind of think, does Nick Bosa's brother not even believe that the 49ers can win a Super Bowl? So that's why he signed with the Buffalo Bills? My guess, no, because he was clearly about to sign with the 49ers, but just got paid more money with the Buffalo Bills. And another thing about the money conversation, I see all these players that have left. Some were surprises, some weren't. I would say Kyle Juszczyk was a little bit more of a surprise. You see all these players, their spouses or significant others saying how heartbroken they are about, you know, a player no longer being on the team. And I get all that. When you spent many years with the same player, with the same teammate, it's obviously hard. The NFL, it's a business. But you also have to consider every player on this 49ers team, more so than probably about any other team, at least publicly known, every player is trying to get max dollars. Hell, Christian McCaffrey was under contract and the 49ers paid him more money because he was sitting out of OTAs and is probably going to hold out a training camp if the deal didn't get done, coming off an offensive MVP season. Not saying that's the wrong thing to do. That's a smart business move on his end. But when players come out and say how heartbroken they are, their wives, girlfriends talk about it too, it's like, well, then don't be the person that has to suck out every dollar from the organization. If you really like playing with somebody that much and you knew that potential issues with money were coming down the pike, maybe take a little bit less. Again, not reality. I wouldn't do it, but just the fact that you see all this heartbroken and devastation coming from players and their spouses. I get all of it, but at the same time, you could help with that. But I digress. Another thing I think people aren't talking about that it's pretty obvious. Who are the teams that are making all the splashy free agent moves? Who are the teams? You got the Denver Broncos, you got the New England Patriots, and you got the Washington Commanders. All three of those teams have one thing in common, something the 49ers just experienced. They have a rookie quarterback on a rookie contract. That's what also makes it a little bit more heartbreaking that the 49ers weren't able to get it done, especially at the level that Brock Purdy was playing. Super Bowl was definitely something they should have been able to get. We all know they came up short. But those three teams who are the biggest cash spenders in free agency, it's all because they got a rookie quarterback on a rookie contract. So the teams that are out there making the moves, there's a reason they're willing to spend more money than others to acquire a player, is because they ain't really got to pay that much for their quarterback. Unfortunately, the 49ers, that run is over, and now Brock Purdy is set to get paid, though there's a lot of debate about what he should be paid, how long he should be paid. But nonetheless, the 49ers, they are past the rookie contract hopes that they had to achieve the Super Bowl, which is why they were able to spend so much money. The 49ers, they did capitalize on the opportunity that was presented. A rookie quarterback playing unbelievable, making no money. So they went out and paid dump trucks of cash to all these players, and unfortunately came up short. And that's just the reality of the situation. And so when, again, pivoting back, when you look at the offensive defensive side of the ball, yes, the 49ers lost a lot of players. Again, not a rebuild. They're not trading their most valuable assets. Nick Bosa is probably the most valuable asset. A guy like Fred Warner, super valuable asset. They have a lot of tradable pieces that could acquire them substantial draft capital. They ain't doing it. Let's just rattle off the team that the players that the 49ers still have. They have Brock Purdy. They have Christian McCaffrey. They have George Kittle. They have Brandon Aiyuk. They have Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, Trent Williams, Malik Mustafa, Diamador Lenore. They still got a bunch of dogs that are all over the field. All very tradable assets that they could get a lot back if they were to move. So again, going to my point, they're not on a rebuild. When you have a glaring issue, specific on the defensive side of the ball, what do? Well, you just don't keep things status quo. You go out and hire the best and most expensive coach to come in and manage the situation and put the players in the best possible position to go out there and revamp this defense. The defense was not good last year. They were the glaring issue. When you look at the 49ers offense, the 49ers were in top 5 in almost every offensive stat. All those guys, they're still there. The 49ers simply did not re-sign or be willing to pay the amount that other teams were to let go of players. Players that didn't see the field a lot last year because they were injured. And a team that's been ravished with injuries, it only makes sense. Hey, we can only go up to this number, but if you can go make more, then you got to do what you got to do. And Robert Saleh, the highest paid defensive coordinator, he's going to earn his paycheck, which is what he was brought in to do. Make the defense better. Get them back on track. And so if you're trying to find some reference points from another team that has had a dramatic turnover like this and still able to succeed, well, it just so happened to be the team that won the Super Bowl, the Philadelphia Eagles. When the Philadelphia Eagles signed Jalen Hurts, they lost something like 7 starters on offense and defense when they had to sign Jalen Hurts to his big-time contract. And that worked out. The Philadelphia Eagles just won the Super Bowl, were absolutely dominant against the Chiefs, and so it's something that still keeps the 49ers in the running, and they're not in a rebuild. That is the whole point of this show topic, is the 49ers not being in a rebuild because everybody and their mom wants to shout it from the mountaintops that they are, which in fact, they're not. If they were, it would be a lot more dramatic, even more dramatic than it has been. Although I will say things probably didn't end up exactly how they had planned, and other players that they were supposed to sign or players that they thought they could re-sign, it just didn't happen. And that's just part of the business of the NFL. And so when speaking about the Philadelphia Eagles, I don't hear many people talking about it. The reigning Super Bowl champs have just lost 6 players on defense through their own accord. They re-upped Saquon Barkley, obviously, to be the highest paid running back. So Christian McCaffrey is the second highest running back. But 6 defensive starters for the Philadelphia Eagles are no longer on the team. But I don't see anybody talking about it, and it's because they just won the Super Bowl. It's because the 49ers are normally on the opposite end of the spectrum They're the ones making the splashy moves over the past couple years. And this year, they're letting some of those players go. And when you hear guys like Ryan Clark, who just likes to have wildish, outlandish takes on ESPN saying, oh, maybe the 49ers trade Christian McCaffrey. Well, maybe the 49ers aren't trading Christian McCaffrey because they're not in a fucking rebuild. So, all right, y'all, I just had to jump on here, give my 2 cents. I think it's gotten pretty carried away about the narrative with the San Francisco 49ers. It just never seems to end with this team, which I'm fine with because I love talking about the 49ers. I love reading about the 49ers, but it's just gotten a little outrageous. So wanted to jump on here, put a little reality back into the conversation. Yes, has it been brutal to see all these players, specifically guys like Dre Greenlaw, Charvarius Ward? Hell yeah. But it's all part of the plan to revamp this defense. There's still a lot of good free agents that are out there on the market that just didn't get hit on the first wave, which the 49ers could definitely still be in contention for. Guys like Trey Hendrickson, the sack king of last year with 17.5 sacks. 49ers not going to get him, although that would be sick, but most likely not. The point is that there's still a lot of good free agents out there that have not been signed. They have the upcoming draft with a lot of picks that they absolutely need to hit on. And again, I just think people are making it out to be way worse than it is, when in reality, I like what they're doing. They're retooling and revamping, getting ready to make another push with a long-term quarterback to go and win a Lombardi trophy. So, all right, y'all, I'll be back. But until my next video, make sure you like, comment, subscribe. You know the deal. Hit me up. Peace.